Casual Talk Radio's Coffee Taste Review back with another coffee we're going to sample. We did not do one last week on purpose. There's a lot going on, and I figured we need a little bit of a respite, a breather. And I figured I would focus on something a little bit different. So I wanted to make sure I gave it a fair shot, and I wanted to make sure I added a little bit of educational to today's coverage. Today, I'm going to be covering Lifeboost Coffee's Luxuriance. It's an espresso bean from Central America, non-GMO, pure, low acid. Espresso beans, you might be curious. How is it different from regular coffee? There's a couple of notable differences you may or may not have been aware, but the bottom line is that an espresso bean has been roasted darker than traditional roasts. So you think about a regular dark roast like a Costa Rica, Sumatra. These are roasted dark, but they're not as quite as dark as what an espresso bean is roasted as. So the difference then with something like a Starbucks where they over roast is when you go too far. There's a balance in how you roast the beans that goes to the flavor that you get out of it. So when you roast dark, it's fine because you're trying to get a certain flavor, trying to get a certain strength. But if you go too far with it, it creates an over roast and you get that it's kind of a rusty flavor. It's burnt. You taste it, it's just that. That's Starbucks. And I know some people are like, no, Starbucks isn't bad. You're getting the fluffy stuff added to it, upside down, soy latte, whatever, chai, whatever. You're not getting the raw coffee that I'm talking about. I'm talking about getting the regular coffee, just straight, no cream, no sugar. You should be able to drink it as is, black, and not go there. And I guarantee you're not going to do that. Their Americano is actually pretty good, which is ironic. But the Americano actually tastes really good at Starbucks. Even McDonald's has a decent Americano if they make it right. They don't always make it right. But the Americano at Starbucks is decent good. My point is that Starbucks traditionally, with slim exception, tends to over roast the beans. And the result is a bleh taste. It's an aftertaste. It's not good. It's acidic. It's not good. So espresso, there's a science to it. And if you've ever had espresso, I'm talking just the brewed espresso, you know the process, you know the crema that ends up at the top and all of these fine points, all of that's part of the prep. All of that's part of the science that goes into making a good espresso. But you can brew regular espresso as is. Now the grind size is going to govern the amount of flavor that comes out of it. Okay, so if you have a standard burr grinder, it probably does not have an adjustable grind size. But you want a really fine grind. If you get it pre-ground, most pre-ground espressos are going to be fine ground. This is because you need to get as much flavor out of it, and the more you grind fine, the more flavor you get out of the end result. Given all of this, mine is a standard burr grinder, so I'm not going to get the maximum flavor, but I know what to expect out of regular brewing. With espressos, you expect a slightly sweeter, less acidic, smoother, but stronger brew. That's your expectation. So I've gone ahead and brewed up a cup here. We're going to give this a shot now that I've done all that spiel. Instantly, the thing I note, there's no pre-taste whatsoever. So there's no flavor of any kind on the pre. It hits your tongue, you swallow, and then there's a little bit of something. It's almost like aroma that you're tasting. It's subtle, but you can sense strength from it. You can sense that there's energy coming from the coffee itself. I know that's weird, but it's true. There's an energy to the coffee that cannot be understated that you don't get with regular coffees. Taste-wise, there's really nothing there. Like, it's not something that you would drink for taste reasons. It's something you would drink for, the buzz. Let's talk creamers then. Again, this is as brewed, not as full-on espresso machine. But as brewed, I think pretty much anything that you throw at it would be okay. I think half and half is going to be the star on this one, just because half and half tends to not affect flavor nearly as much as the rest of them do. But most anything would do on this. I don't see anything negative on it. It's not something for me as a regular coffee. It's not something because as I'm older, I don't drink nearly like the same I used to with coffee. So I would probably not do this on a regular. This would be something I would infrequently drink, maybe weekends, right? As a little bit of energy for me to get stuff done on the weekend type of coffee. Or if I were relaxing, maybe I'm off work, which isn't common, but let's say I was off work, this would be something I might drink off work. I would not drink this on the grind. I would not, on the daily. I would not because it just feels wrong. Wrong. Like it feels like you have less control over the amount of energy that you would get from the coffee if you do this one as opposed to brewed coffee, where I like to do it, medium, light roasts, where I can control the amount of buzz that I'm going to get over time and drink up to my three. This one feels like I'd have to do once and done, which wouldn't be good for me personally. So I'm not downing it. I think it's good. And I think Lifeboost has done a really good job with this Luxuriance deal that they've imported from Central America. I think it's really, really good taste wise. Lifeboostcoffee.com if you want to check it out. I do recommend checking them out. They have a lot of different brews. They have decaf brews. They have these types espresso brews, beans and ground. So I do recommend checking them out. They do really, really good packaging, really good pricing, good coffee, etc. But the espresso's good. Just not for me personally, but it is a good overall experience. And again, you want to, because mine's a burr grinder, so I'm not getting the max flavor, and I knew that going in. You want to make sure it's a fine ground, and you want to make sure your machine can support a fine ground when you brew it, right? So if you don't use paper filters, you're gonna get sludge in the bottom of your cup, right? So make sure you got the right filtering. Make sure you do it right. If you use like a French press, you're probably fine. And French press, I think, would go good with something like this to pull out the maximum flavor if you don't have a regular espresso machine.